These three items are what we're going to be using today. We're going to be changing out the brake fluid in the C8 Corvette Z06. Let's talk about it. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the vlog. Thanks for pressing play. As you saw there in the beginning, we are in fact changing the brake fluid in the C8 Z06 because there are better options out there than what the car comes with stock. We are planning on doing some track days and some aggressive driving that might require some new brake fluid. Now, I'm going to go over a bunch of different things today, guys. I'm going to show you, number one, how to change the fluid, what tool you need to actually activate the ABS pump to flush the fluid through to make sure you're not just getting the fluid into the reservoir and the calipers, but also all the way through the ABS module and the entire braking system. Because there is a specific tool you need to use to be able to do that. Something that typically only the dealership has access to, but we have a tool here that will work as well. And I'll show you where you can buy one for not horribly expensive and make sure that you have the same tools available to yourself. I'm also going to talk about what fluid I'm using, why I'm using that fluid, and why you might want to do this even if you're not planning on tracking the car. So let's get into the details. First things first, the fluid. The brake fluid that I decided to use is the Castrol React SRF fluid. Now, this stuff is pretty expensive. This 1 liter jug here was almost 60 bucks, but it is some of the better fluid that's out there because the other option is going to be most likely Motul, which Motul comes in either 600 or 660. Either way, even the 660, you're looking at fluid that performs about the same as this does when it's dry, but significantly worse when it starts to absorb some moisture. And like it or not, your brake fluid is going to absorb some moisture over time. This stuff here lasts a lot longer and has a higher boiling point once there is some moisture mixed in there. So this stuff will last longer and perform better longer than Motul will. So if you're going to be just living on the track, you're going to be changing this stuff out probably once every 2 or 3 track sessions anyway. But if you're going to do it the way I'm going to do it, which is going to be a track day here and there, maybe 2 or 3 a year, this stuff will last you a long time. And it will also be great for, your back road driving and stuff like that. 1 liter should be more than enough. We're going to dump that into the actual power bleeder that I showed you earlier, and then we're going to kind of activate that ABS pump, move all the fluid through, catch the old stuff coming out, and I'm going to show you how dirty it is already on a 2023 with only about 10,000 miles on it. So let's get into the process. So this is the device that's going to allow us to control the ABS module in the C8 Z06. We're going to talk more about it as the video goes on here, but this is what plugs into the OBD2 port and allows you to modulate that ABS pump that will basically pump all of the fluid through the system. Now, this is something, like I said, you typically only have access to at the dealership, but thanks to this particular device, which I will link all of the information down in the description, so you can grab one of these for yourselves, this thing will get it done for you without having to go to the dealership. Before we get started, real time, I'm going to put the car up to the first click on the quick jacks, just so you guys can see how useful these things are for doing any kind of maintenance to your car. Next, we got to get the wheels off. First step to starting the brake fluid flush/change procedure is going to be to take the cap off of the brake reservoir, which of course is literally right there. Once you pop the cap off, I'm going to use the tried and true turkey baster to basically suck any of the fluid that's in there out. That way I have that much left to push through the lines. So once I get pretty much all of the fluid out of that reservoir, that's when I'm going to start adding my new fluid and then letting the launch software do the rest. Now, there's 2 different ways you can do this, apparently. Using the launch device here, you can plug it into the OBD2 port and of course hit the ABS activation. And what that's going to do is it's literally going to activate the ABS pump to push the fluid through. Now, you can do that, and of course that's the best way to do it because it's also going to get the fluid in the ABS pump changed out as well. But while you're doing that, it's going to tell you to hit the brake because that brake will ultimately open up the entire hydraulic line for the entire system when hitting the brake. Now, if you don't want to do it that way, you can use the power bleeder as well, which will force the fluid through whether you're hitting the brakes or not. This would be something more so suited for a single user doing this all on his own. I think we're going to skip this one for today. I'm going to plug this in, hit the brakes, and allow this thing to do its work, because I will have an assistant here. You guys know Dana. He's going to be able to kind of watch on the other end of the brake caliper as to what's happening with the entire system. So I don't really have to worry too much about forcing the fluid through when I can just hit that brake and have the ABS pump do it for me. Then I will manually add the brake fluid to the reservoir, which again, this is my liter of brake fluid here, and this is the brake fluid of choice. So this is what I'm going to be using. Like I said, Motul 660, stuff like that is pretty good as well, but this just seems, from my research, it seems like it lasts a little bit longer, and that's better for how I'm going to be doing this. So first step, like I said, turkey based all of the fluid out of the main pump up here, or the reservoir I should say. Once you get it down to the point where you can't suck any more out, that's when you can start adding in your new fluid. Then we're going to move on to the next step, which is going to be plugging in the launch device to the OBD2 port. All right, so the first step to using the launch tool here is press and hold the start button for 5 to 10 seconds. Everything will kind of come to life on the car as if it's running, but it's obviously not. So once we're in that mode, we can then plug in the other end of the launch device, which is a OBD2 port. Plug that right into the OBD2 port of the car, and we're going to get some power on this device, and we're going to start looking at what we got to do. Car is in accessory mode. We got the device plugged in. Now we're going to go ahead and turn it on, which is up here at the top. So here it is auto detecting what kind of car this is. It's looking for the VIN number. It should find this on its own. And it did. So it says now start the vehicle system detection. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. So the first thing is it checks for some DTCs, or check engine light codes basically, and you got to clear those first. I had one in there because we had the suspension apart, as you saw in the last video, so that threw a check engine light, but it will go through and clear all those before we can start into the brake stuff. So after everything's done and all the check engines are cleared, we're going to go to the second tab in, which is called service function. You'll see down here in the bottom left, ABS bleeding. So I think you can probably gather what we're going to press next. And now it's processing. Now it's going to give you pretty good instructions on what to do here. It's going to tell you what caliper to start at and all that good stuff. All right, so from here we're going to select the car, which is going to be
Honda.
Obviously Chevrolet, GM. Go back up. Right there. Yep. Automatically search. That's it. Hit yes. Automated brake bleed. Go ahead and hit OK. So it says to open up the left rear bleeder screw first, and when ready to press OK and pump the brake pedal continuously with a steady apply every 2 seconds until instructed to stop. Okay, so that's it. All we have to do at this point is hit OK. We're going to prep the brake caliper now for what we got to do next. Like I said, this was probably going to be a two-person job. I'm going to have Dana in the car pressing the brake pedal while we're out here working the calipers to allow this to bleed. But before we get to that point, a more important note here is we got to start putting the new brake fluid in the reservoir. The last thing you want to have happen is that reservoir to run empty. So overfill it, and then as he runs that ABS pump, it will start sucking in the new fluid, and then we'll just continuously fill that reservoir. All right, so we're at the back left caliper. What we're going to do is release the forwardmost bleeder screw first, and then work on the one on the inside afterwards. So I'm going to have Dana go ahead and hit OK here in a second, and as soon as I do, you're going to see all the fluid come through this tube and ultimately into my plastic bottle here. So we're going to crack this open first. Maybe, holy crap, is that over on there tight? There we go. All right, with it open, we'll have Dana go ahead and hit OK. So you can see it coming through now. There it is. Okay, so we heard the ABS pump kick on there, and it drained some fluid. So Dana's still pumping it, and the ABS pump will kick on every so often. That's probably good. Hit OK. Okay, I don't know if you'll be able to see on camera or not, but the fluid coming through here is a lot clearer than whenever it initially came through, so I know we've got all the new fluid in here. All right, so after we got this one done, we'll disconnect the hose from this and everything, and then the launch device is telling us to move to the left front caliper next. So here we are at the front left caliper. I'm going to go ahead and crack that open and then have Dana hit OK. Then he's got to pump the brake slowly until the ABS pump kicks in. So first step, okay, go ahead and hit OK and start pumping. So the module right now is counting down from 30. And there's the ABS pump. Okay, there's no longer bubbles visible. So the machine says when there's no longer bubbles visible to go ahead and close the valve, and at that point you could hear the ABS pump going, and it was giving basically way more pressure in this line than Dana could apply with just the brake. So next is the right front. By now you guys are probably asking why I'm not doing anything with the back bleeder valve, and it's because we're going to come back through and do this again. This controller only allows for one bleeder valve per caliper side, so we'll do it twice basically to make sure both sides of the caliper are bled evenly. After we did the driver's side one, the next one is the passenger side front. I'm going to do that one off screen because it's a little tighter over there in my garage, but it's the exact same process. We're going to crack open the main bleeder valve, let the ABS pump work and push the fluid through, close it up, and then move on to the rear passenger. Then we're going to run this procedure again and do the inner valves on each caliper. All right, so we have run the procedure again, and it's telling us to start again at the left rear or driver's side rear. So now you can see the tube is connected to the inner bleeding nipple, not the outer one. So we're going to run the same process again on the inner nipples all the way around, and then we should be good. All right, go ahead.
Is there air?
Fluid's coming out. You can see it on camera. I'm going to try to leave it, see if you guys can actually see when it changes color. I'm starting to see it now. So instead of the yellow, it'll start being a lot clearer. And as Dana's pumping, you might be able to hear the e-brake, or I'm sorry, the ABS pump kick in. There it is. Once you see the new fluid and you're not seeing any bubbles, at that point, I'll go ahead and close the valve. That's it. And you can see this tube, super clear fluid. That's all you got to do. And the tool does all the rest itself. So we are now onto the front left or driver's side wheel. Going to do the same thing again, this time on the inner bleed screw instead of the outer one. So I'm going to crack this open and then have Dana hit OK. There, it's open. Dana hits OK. You can already see the fluid starting to come through. And there's the ABS pump. So we are good. I'm going to close it off now, and that's that. So you can see the clear fluid coming through. ABS pump kicks in and pumps a good bit of fluid through. More importantly, gets the new fluid into the actual ABS pump. I'm going to do this again on the passenger side as well to get the other two bleeder screws done over there, but that's it. That's the process. And so far, we've used a little over half of this particular bottle, and I would imagine we'll have a little bit left over once we're done. You don't really use a whole lot of this. 1 liter is more than enough. I will link everything down below, guys, but I'm going to finish this up, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the process. After we're all done, it asks you to wrap it up. You can see it's processing. It's going to wrap this thing up for us, and then once it's all said and done, we're good to go. The color of the fluid that I swapped out, it didn't look too bad in the reservoir, but it came out really yellow. So the new stuff was like obviously super clear. The old stuff was really yellow. We obviously did some good here. All right, guys, so that's pretty much the procedure. You can see the floor underneath the car is kind of wet because I actually went through and wiped down the calipers with soap and water afterwards because brake fluid is super corrosive. If you get it on any paint whatsoever, it is going to strip that paint off if you leave it on there. So I wiped everything down with soap and water to kind of neutralize it. And obviously I didn't drip any on the car or anything, but make sure you don't as well. So we got all 8 bleeder valves cracked and bled, and the color of the fluid coming out you could see was way more yellow than the stuff going in was a lot more clear. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on video or not, but I was able to easily tell in the tube when the new stuff was coming through. So that should be it. At this point, I'm able to put the wheels back on and we're going to wrap this whole thing up. So again, guys, the launch device really helped out with this situation because it's able to activate that ABS pump. You could change the fluid, the brake fluid in the car without doing that by just pumping the brakes and then holding it, cracking the valve and closing it, pumping the brakes again, hold it, crack the valve, close it. That's the old school way. I used to do that all the time back in the day, and man, I'll tell you, it sucks. But not just that, you can't get the ABS pump full of the new fluid by doing it that way. You have to activate that ABS pump. That's why this tool is necessary for at least that purpose. It also made it a little bit easier because it pumps it a lot faster rather than you just pumping it, holding it, and cracking the bleeder open and closed. That way definitely sucked, but this way is a lot easier. It took maybe an hour, and that was with filming and having never used that tool before. But now that I've used it, this is definitely the way I'll do it in the future. So hopefully that helped you guys. I will link everything, the fluid I used, as well as the launch tool down in the description below if you're interested. Grab it from Amazon. It's not really that expensive. And yeah, it's that easy. You can have this fluid completely changed. Smash the thumbs up button, guys, if you saw something here that helped you out. Subscribe if you haven't, and as always, stay obsessed.